So welcome to the module number 5 of this course, computer architecture. In the previous lecture, in the previous module, we studied about the IA32 and 64-bit architecture of computer systems, and we became familiar with the various instruction sets involved and the addressing modes of these architectures. There were some specific arrangements, some arrangements or some processes involved in the architecture which were not fit to be discussed at that particular time. But these processes, the basics of these processes are elaborated in this module 5. And this module is basically about studying about the processes through which these processors has been designed, and let us discuss them one by one. So in this module, we will study about the basic concepts of pipelining, what is a pipelining, and how the pipeline is implemented. So we will have an introduction to the pipeline, the general concept of pipelining, basic definition, and then we will see how this concept of pipelining is implemented in the computer hardware system or our architecture, and hence that's why we coined the term that is ILP, that is instruction level algorithm. Somebody also asked me about in our mail that is pipelining and or ILP are the both the terms are same. So they are basically they are same in the sense that a pipeline is the basic criteria, whereas how do we implement it? The basic concept of pipelining, how do we implement it in the computer architecture system on the instruction set or ISA instruction set architecture? How do we implement the concept of pipelining on ISA? That is known as ILP. Then we have the various compiler techniques. So ILP has to be dealt in two categories. One is the hardware dealing of ILP, and the other one is software dealing of ILP. So pipelining can be categorized into two categories. So when we deal with hardware, we have data hazards, dependencies, and there are various techniques for hardware dealing of ILP. And the software dealing of ILP or software pipelining involves the techniques of a compiler, because the compiler is involved in case of software pipelining. So compiler techniques we will study in case of ILP and its compiler techniques. So where when ILP is modeled by using hardware alone, then it's just an ILP. So on ILP, there are techniques of we will see the compiler techniques of ILP involves the pipelining scheduling, and loop unrolling, etc. Whereas this ILP, which involves the processes of dynamic scheduling hardware, involved done by hardware, involves dynamic scheduling, branch prediction, and then we have some when we implement pipelining, every pipelining is not an ideal one pipelining. So if it's not an ideal one pipelining, then we have some constraints or restrictions on that pipelining to execute on that pipeline. So that constraint or restriction, when we have a restriction, that restriction is just because a particular process is dependent on some other process. So we call them dependencies, and because we have dependencies, and so we have the data hazards, constraints, and that those constraints are known as data. So various data hazards are there, which needs to be discussed, and various hazards. Basically, there are three types of hazards we will discuss in the next slides, and one of them is data hazard. And how do we eliminate these hazards in the process so as to implement this pipelining procedure properly? That we will see. They are dynamic scheduling. So let us move on to the concept of pipelining, or the very basic introduction of the pipeline. Why do we need pipelining? So pipelining is a process or is a way of speeding up the execution of the instruction. And the general idea involves, or the basic idea involves, the overlapping of execution. Multiple instructions can be executed in the same sequence. And how do we implement those multiple instructions in the same, on the same processor at the same time? See, the basic concept of pipelining can be taken from an example, which is daily, which can be taken from a daily life. So let me take an example of laundry analogy. And in this case, suppose we have 4 people who want to wash or process their clothes, a load of clothes. So Anne is having A, B for Brian, C for Kathy, and D for Dave. So there are 4 processes to be taken care of. One, the load of clothes has to be washed. Then the dryer will dry it up. Then we have a folder, one folds the clothes, and then dispatch. So every process involved takes 30 minutes to complete it. So every process involves 30 minutes to complete it. So if we take all the processes in this fashion, if we do laundry in the sequential fashion, so if we are doing it in the sequential fashion, and suppose we take a load of clothes, which is A. So washing takes 30 minutes, then dry 30 minutes, then folding 30, and then stashing 30. So this complete process involved 120 minutes in total. So we had 120 minutes in total for this process, for completing the process of clothes, stash of clothes A. But for the process, similar time will be taken for B, then C, then D. So total number of time, or total time taken to complete all the 4 loads of clothes will be 480 minutes in this case. So, but the concept is, when this time can be reduced. This is a non-pipelined structure. We are executing washing of the clothes, the drying of the clothes. For every stash of clothes, we are executing it sequentially. Means till this load of A is not completed, we are not starting the load B. So it can be done if we utilize the resources, want to utilize the resources properly, and we want to increase the processing or execution speed. So this can be done as such. This is an example of pipeline. If in our example, if we overlap the task, suppose A stash of clothes is in the process of washing first, starting. So when its washing is done in 30 minutes, it will be switched over to drying. When the stash of cloth A is in the process of drying, this hardware is idle, this washing machine is idle, so we can take a stash of B to the washing machine, and B is taken to the washing machine. When this is taken to folded, then B will be taken to the dryer, and C will be taken to the washing machine. So by this process, we can complete all the 4 loads of clothes in 30, 120, till this 120, then we have 150, 180, and 200. So this process took only 210 minutes instead of 480. But there is an assumption that we have made in this case. And the assumption involves that we have considered every process taking equal time. And this is not in practical sense when we implement it. So there are some points to be noted here. Pipelining doesn't help latency of the single task. It helps throughput of the entire one. So there is nothing to do with the latency in case of pipelining. And what is latency? So latency is the amount of time when the instruction is issued and when it completes. So time taken for an instruction being issued until it gets completed. So the latency for this part will be 120 minutes. So latency for every portion will be 120 minutes. Every stash of cloth is taking 120 minutes to complete. So there is a the latency will remain same. There is no improvement on the latency. It doesn't help with latency. Pipeline doesn't. It helps with throughput. What is throughput? So throughputs are the number of instruction or the number of tasks completed per unit time. So number of tasks completed per unit time has improved obviously in this case. So time taken in the previous process was 480 minutes, whereas in this case it is just 210 times. So pipelining rate is limited by the slowest pipelining speed. As we have considered an ideal case in this example, that we have taken all the processes having same time. Washing is 30 minutes, timing 30 minutes, folding is 30 minutes, and stretching is 30 minutes. So what if these processes are not of the same time? Or washing may have been taken 30 minutes, whereas dryer might have taken 50 minutes. So if drying takes 50 minutes, so this one is the late part of the process. So until the dryer completes the task, it will not be forwarded to folding one. And if dryer doesn't complete its task, it means this cannot be processed to the dryer. B cannot be processed to the dryer. So A has to wait till the B is empty. B is ready to get receive the clothes. So the time for which it has to wait is known as stalling of the pipeline. You will see what is the basic concept in the instruction set of the stalling. So this is just an example to say that why if they are not equal, if every time is not equal, so there are some constraints in the pipeline to be executed. And these constraints are known as hazards that has to be taken care of. And why these hazards? Because they are dependent, there are some dependencies on the previous instruction or any value or any data. So we will see what they are. The next part is multiple tasks operating simultaneously. Obviously, there are multiple tasks. They are operating simultaneously. Then we have potential speed up is equal to number of pipeline stages. So what is the speed up? Speed up is the ratio of average instruction time without pipelining to the average instruction time with pipeline. So without pipelining to with pipelining, this is the ratio, a ratio that is known as speed up. So unbalanced length of pipelining stages reduces the speed up. Obviously, they will reduce the speed up because this has to wait for the dryer to get emptied. Then time to fill up the pipeline and time to drain it reduces the speed up. So time to fill up the pipeline, what is the time required to fill up the pipeline? So first stage involves when the stash of clothes A got into washer, then it got to dryer. Then till this part, when all the four processes were part of the pipeline, this was filling up of the pipeline. And then one by one, they get out from the process, that is the draining up of the pipeline. And it also reduces risk. So how pipelining is implemented in a data system? This is an implementation of it. If we have a non-pipeline structure, then one operation finishes every 1 nanosecond. So this may be the hard one. But whereas if we have a pipeline structure, this pipeline structure can be represented as we have every process takes 200 picoseconds when it is filled, when the pipeline is completely filled. Mark those words, when the pipeline is completely filled. So pipeline has to be completely filled, then the pipeline takes every operation finishes in 200 picoseconds, whereas in this case, a single operation, the complete process takes 1 minute. These are the buffer registers that stores temporarily the output of a particular stage. So when this instruction completes, whatever is the output that will be stored in the buffer register will be forwarded to the next instruction when it is ready, to the next part when it is ready to execute. So moving on forward, let us take an example. So we have a brief example. This is the example that has been taken from your basic reference or computer system architecture. Morris. Suppose we need to perform multiply and add operation with a string of numbers. Suppose we have three numbers A, B, and C, and these numbers can vary from 5 from 1 to 7. So each sub instruction is implemented in a segment with the pipe. Now, how the pipeline is implemented, it has two registers in the combination context to the operator. This can be shown into the figure as we have three numbers A, B, and C, and two register sets to perform. So these are buffer registers. These are buffer registers. Then, as we were talking about buffer registers in the pipeline, so these were buffer registers. These were buffer registers. They were storing them. So, in this case, we have A is loaded in the so first the pipeline has to be filled. This is an execution unit. There are multiple execution units and buffer registers. This is an execution unit. So we have R1, A1, B1 is loaded. R1, R2 is loaded with A1 and B1. Then A1 and B1 is multiplied in this execution unit, and the result is stored in R3. When the result is stored in R3, at that time, C1 is loaded into R4. So multiple instructions are operating at this point of time, but they are being loaded in the subsequent buffer registers. Then when R3 gets the result of the multiplier and R4 is loaded, they both are processed in this execution unit, which is an adder. And the output of this execution unit is forwarded to the next load register, that is R5. So this is the basic structure. Multiple instructions are taking place, but they are being loaded in the subsequent buffer. So this process, which involves the sub operation performed in each segment, were as follows. And what are these sub segment sub operations? That input AI and BI. So R1 and R2 were loaded with subsequent instruction. For suppose A1, B1, then A2, B2, then A3. Then R3 is updated with R1 cross R2. What are the contents of R1? So R3 depends upon the values of R1 and R2. These are known as dependents. Till R1 is not updated or R2 is not updated, R3 cannot update its value. It has to wait for this them to update. So R3 has a dependency upon R1 and R2. So this is an example of a dependency. What is this process? Then we have an R5, R3, and R4. And R5 depends upon R3 and R4 to complete the process. This is a pipelining structure having three processes involved. And let us see the contents of registers in this pipeline. So in this pipelining, there are clock pulses. So at first clock, A1, B1 were loaded. At second clock, A2, B2 were loaded, whereas R3 was updated with A1, B1, and C1 was loaded at the same time. But there was no output. Till this point, till the third clock, the pipeline is not filled. At the third clock cycle, we have A3, B3 loaded, then A2, B2, and C2 at the output, then R5 had its content. So at this point of time, we can say that the pipeline is loaded. So at third cycle, your pipeline is completely filled. And it begins to vacate from which point? It begins to vacate from seventh cycle. So as we can see, the process starts, the pipeline starts to drain up from seventh cycle as the numbers So this at this point of at the end of mining cycle, we have pipeline for the processes. Subsequent stages involve multiple operations taking place simultaneously in this case. This was an example. This is a space-time diagram of this pipeline. So we can say that T1 was being processed in the first cycle, then T2, and up to 6 cycles. When in the second segment, T1 came to the second cycle, then T2. So they kept on moving subsequently. These processes are being carried out simultaneously. So this is the basic concept or space-time diagram for a pipeline structure. Next is we can see that we have a single cycle processor. Every pipeline involves 5 steps. First step is fetching of the instruction. The second step is instruction decode register decoding. After fetching, we go for decoding. Then we have to execute and perform X address calculation. Then we have memory access, and then we have write back in this case. So a single cycle processor, a pipeline involves instruction to be executed in these 5 steps. So this is just a representation of single cycle processor. As we can see, the basic pipelining for MIPS system. So this MIPS is million instructions per second. It is so that million instructions per second. It is a RISC-based ISA. So RISC, we have discussed it previously in our class and lectures about this. RISC was a reduced instruction set systems, and based on ISA. What is ISA? ISA is instruction setup. So if we are pipelining, well, this is the basic pipelining method for our next system. We have an instruction order in this in the side, and we have multiple cycles to complete. So again, that process will at the cycle 1, the instruction will be fetched, then it will fetch to the register set, then execution unit, then to memory access, and then will be finally returned back to the register set, which is the best. So till this instruction is being fetched, as it moves on to the cycle 2, in which it is going to the register set, the process of the second instruction will be fetched at a particular time when it moves on to the register. So this process repeats, and subsequent instructions can be carried out in the pipeline. So on and so forth. So this is a single cycle versus a pipeline execution representation. This is a timing diagram. And as we can see that we have a non-pipelining pipeline instruction unit, instruction order, time required or time taken in all the 5 stages. So fetch, register, then execution, register reading, register writing. So this is 800 picoseconds. If we execute every instruction, so we have a pipeline this instruction. So in all the examples taken till now, just to consider the fact that we are considering the ideal stages of the ideal case of the pipeline, means we are considering every process is taking same time to operate, to carry on. So if it is taking same time to operate or to carry on, CPI will be equal to 1. Means it is an ideal process part. But in practice, this is not so. We have an instruction fetch you will see that the time taken by, suppose an instruction takes floating point multiplication and floating point division in order to process. So floating point division takes 40 cycles to operate, whereas floating point multiplication takes 4 cycles to process. So floating point division will take its own cycles, whereas subsequent floating point multiplications, 10 floating point multiplication can be performed, in which one floating point division is performed. So they can carry on simultaneously. This process, if it depends upon some value, as it is taking 40 cycles to operate, so this will be stalled. We will see what is stalled when we talk about ILP, this instruction level pipeline. This lecture is just about the basic concept of the pipeline. Just remember, if we do not have pipeline structure, so the time taken is very high. Pipelining has nothing to do with the latency. The latency will be the same. What is latency? Is the amount of time the instruction is issued and when it completes. So it has nothing to do with the latency. It do not have any effect. Whereas it reduces or it improves the throughput. And what is throughput? Throughput are the number of tasks or the instructions needed completed per unit. It also improves the speed of process. And the speed up is the ratio of average instruction without pipeline to the pipeline. So these are some observations of this from the pipeline. And these observations are, there are some plus points and there are some drawbacks, or not drawbacks actually. Say there are some problems we need to deal with, and we have certain techniques to rectify them. We'll see in the subsequent lectures of the module. So the first point is multiple instructions being processed at the same time. Yes, that is an achievement. It reduces the execution time. Second point is this works because the stages are isolated by registers. Yes, that is also has been discussed as the subsequent stages involve the buffer register, which stores the value, because the next process may take more cycles to execute. And if it is taking more cycles to execute, then we may need to solve that pipeline. So in the case, we need some register set to store that value intermediately. So these stages are isolated by some registers. Instructions interfere with each other. Yes, definitely instructions interfere with each other. Interference means that we have some constraints on every instruction to operate. Maybe and how, what are the constraints? Examples of the constraints are different instructions may need the same piece of hardware in the same clock cycle. So this particular kind of hazard can be said as a structural hazard. So this is a structural hazard because it depends upon the hardware. There are three categories of hazards to this. One is structural hazard, one is control hazard, and one is data hazard. So when different instructions may need the same piece of hardware or memory, the same clock cycle. So this is a drawback of this. So this will be an hazard, or we can say constraint for the pipeline to operate. And then another example involves if we have instructions may require a result produced by an earlier instruction that is not yet complete. So it has a dependency on the previous instruction. So previous instruction need to create some value so that next instruction can be carried out. So it depends upon, it waits till that value is not generated or updated in the base. So it has to wait. So that waiting stalls the process of pipeline, and this type of dependency, this hazard is known as data hazard. So we'll discuss them in detail. these were the processes. Uh, this was just an introductory lecture on the process of pipelining. And when this pipelining is implemented, this concept of pipelining is implemented in our computer architecture system of instruction sets to operate multiple instructions with this analogy of the laundry. And obviously taking care of some constraints, then this instruction or this process will be regarded as instruction level parallelism. So instruction level parallelism is nothing but just an implementation of the concept of pipelining in our system architecture to carry out the instructions simultaneously on a processor and to reduce the time taken to execute a particular cycle of process. So in the next lecture, we will discuss about instruction level parallelism, ILP. We'll start with the concept of ILP and data hazards and dependencies. So this is all for today. Thank you very much. If you have any queries, we will queries in your classroom. Thank you very much for being here. Hello. Hello.